Well, with me to discuss the ongoing humanitarian crisis in Yemen is Henrietta Fore, Executive Director for the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, who's just recently returned from Yemen. Thanks so much for coming in. It is horrifically awful in Yemen. Just tell us what you've seen.
Thank you, Geeta. It is. We consider it the worst humanitarian crisis in the world today. 11 million children at risk. The problem is that the health system, the education system, the water and sanitation systems are all collapsing or have collapsed. So it's very difficult to get medicines in. We just had 50 tons arrive in Hodeida port that will look after 250,000 women and children, but it's not enough.
And why are women and children most vulnerable? And is it families from both sides of the political divide, if I can put it that way?
Yes, it's families all over Yemen, and women and children tend to be the most vulnerable because children are caught when they're young in life, if they're without clean water, if mothers, when they're giving birth, do not have clean water, infections begin. There's been a cholera outbreak. That always affects the children the most, and so for all of them, it's difficult, but malnutrition is now very strong. Livelihoods have stopped, so 80% of this population is below the level of poverty. That's a very high number for any country. It's not sustainable. We need peace.
How close are we at all? I know you can't talk about politics at all, really, but I mean, can you give us a sense of any hope on the horizon?
We have lots of hope. So Martin Griffiths is trying to negotiate that there might be a comprehensive peace. This would be a great gift for Yemen. And we need access, humanitarian access to all parts of the country, to all children and families. It's a real strong need now in the world.
And you're here for a British government conference on disability throughout the world, and yet Britain, France, America are backing the Saudi-led coalition in this. So Western countries are very much involved in this conflict, and yet it seems like the populations perhaps are still not aware of the cost, the human cost.
Well, it's a very interesting point. So we think that 1 out of every 4 children in the world is in some context of conflict and violence. And when it happens to be a child with disabilities, it's a double problem. Because if you cannot walk, or you cannot speak, or you cannot see, or you cannot hear, it's very hard if you get separated from your family. So all of these issues are interlinked in the world of humanitarian assistance, and the children are the most important.
Are you getting enough money?
No, we never are. We have a humanitarian appeal out for $3.6 billion this year. Only 27% funded. Can
you guarantee that if people listen to you and see you and want to help, that the money will go to the children where it's needed?
It certainly will.
How can we be sure of that?
Well, UNICEF works around the world in nutrition, in education, in health, in water, sanitation and protection. And we create safe spaces for children, so in times of conflict or war, they have a place where they can come so that they can be safe, so that they can be reconnected with their families, they can be fed, they can get health and medical assistance. So that is what UNICEF does.
Absolutely. Henrietta Fore, thank you very much indeed for coming in to give us your thoughts. That's it. I am back in a few minutes. Don't go away. This is BBC World News and Global.